Have you ever been so tired of your life that you considered ditching your entire identity to go live in a van? Well, the movie Nomadland shows that it is 100% possible to drive away from all your worries and still not be happy. You can run, but you can never hide. Hey, it's Nicole. You don't care that much? Let's move on. Nomadland, a film adapted from the nonfiction book Nomadland, is a favorite to win the Oscar for Best Picture this year. It stars Frances McDormand, who was in Fargo, 3 Billboards, and Madagascar 3. Because this woman has got range. Her character, Fern, is a woman who has lost everything before the film even begins. Her husband died, and after the Great Recession, her town and entire zip code were, how do I put this, canceled, discontinued, no longer spark joy. She starts living in her van and meets this modern nomad community of elder Americans who were also, like Fern, impacted by the recession and live outside of society. Nomadland follows Fern as she travels the country and works seasonal jobs.
How close? Yeah, well, I wanted to get a job around here first.
Good luck with that.
That's
tough.
Bye, Patty.
Bye, Fern.
She starts off working at Amazon, which immediately struck me as interesting because if you have seen the possibly robot Twitter accounts that Amazon has created to sing its own praises, you'd find it a little sus that Amazon would be okay with a cameo in a movie like this. But then you see this scene.
You working at Amazon again?
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, great money.
Apparently in the Nomadland book, people do criticize Amazon, with one person even calling it the biggest slave owner in the world. It makes a lot of sense then why it wasn't included. The film's very inclusion of Amazon as one of its settings, though, adds to the realism of this film. Nomadland's director, Chloe Zhao, tends to use actors and non-actors to blur the line between fiction and nonfiction. The modern nomads, mostly elder Americans that Fern meets during a desert rendezvous, are not professional actors. They're real nomads, and Frances McDormand is amazing at blending in. All the conversations feel natural and improvised, like real dialogue, but the director has said that most of Fern's lines, at least, are scripted. Fern connects with several nomads, and for a bit, it's really nice to see her thaw that prickly exterior. She has a good heart, and it seems like all these people do too. They're all very kind to each other. All these nomads have gone through some form of trauma, and there's a sense of common humanity in resilience from grief. At this point, I kept thinking, okay, so this movie is telling me that whenever you lose all the trappings and possessions of daily life, I suppose all we have is each other. It seems like what the message of this kind of film would be about. But then the film will just abruptly cut to long stretches of time when Fern is alone. It's pretty intriguing for her character, in my opinion. Contrasting how she behaves so warmly to other members of the nomad community, but then how short she behaves toward people when she's refusing their help. She rebuffs this lady who's just worried that she might freeze in the parking lot overnight, and she leaves David, a fellow nomad, when he offers her a place to stay with him and his family. Fern is adamantly self-reliant, and I see this as a way for her to reclaim as much freedom as she can. When she's feeling generally untethered in life, there is control that she can feel in refusing help, and there's control in self-imposed loneliness as well. Knowing that Fern is a lonely character, I kept searching for whether I was supposed to feel sad about it, because I've always learned to attach sadness to loneliness. But it wasn't as clear-cut as I thought. Sure, clearly Fern is grieving her husband and is not sure what to do without him, but I wouldn't call it sad, more like reflective and contemplative. The visuals help a lot with the mood here. Nomadland is not a hopeless film, or I think that we would see a lot more shots of, desolate, emptier scenery. But there's so many beautiful shots of nature, many shot at the magic hour, which I imagine was so inconvenient that it must have been intentional. Zhao has said that she loves working with the interplay between human emotion and geography, playing with space, light, and wind to reveal a character. And beyond the vast natural background, Fern's wardrobe, white sneakers and pink socks.
Almost like a child getting lost. It's the first time that she's really embracing being a traveler.
Contrast that to the suffocating space of Amazon in the beginning. The scenes in Nomadland, or dare I say plot, are very loosely structured, like little vignettes. The best way I could describe it is when you fade in and out of consciousness when you're going through the motions of your life, like when you realize you're driving but don't remember the past 10 minutes and then you're off to the next moment. At least for me this year, due to COVID or depression,
¿Por qué no las dos?
I felt like I've been floating, kind of disassociated and doggy paddling. So I felt this effect really deeply. Ultimately, after Fern opens up to the final boss Nomad about how she's unable to move on from grieving for her late husband, the head honcho Nomad reciprocates with his own story about losing his son and lets her know that in the Nomad community, people don't really say goodbyes.
Hundreds of people out here, and I don't ever say a final goodbye. I always just say, I'll see you down the road. And I do. And whether it's a month or a year or sometimes years, I see them again.
And perhaps this helps Fern. In what I think is a pretty nice touch, Fern returns to her old town in scenes that really mirror the opening scenes, bringing us full circle. She gets rid of the last belongings sitting in storage, visits the old factory and her old home, and then finally sets off down the road. Speaking of circles, I thought this was pretty cool too.
That ring is a circle, and it never ends. And that means that your love never ends.
Overall, what I appreciated about Nomadland is that it's subtle. Yeah, part of me doesn't love really quiet, slow-paced movies, but I can still appreciate that Nomadland never beats you over the head with a message. It's not prescriptive, and it doesn't romanticize the modern nomadic lifestyle. It's empathetic toward people and their reasons for turning their back on society, whether it's medical issues, financial troubles, or grief and loss. The film is not explicitly political, choosing to tackle the more universal human experience, though Zhao has said that politics are embedded in each frame if you look deeply. In this shot, for example, you quickly see a Confederate tattoo, but there's no judgment or even a comment on it. It's just shown. I've read a lot of reviews on Nomadland, and there are a lot of takes on what this film is actually about. The concept of home, grief, loss, uncertainty, humanity. For me, and maybe the experiences of a film will change depending on which part of your life you're in when you view it, I saw what I needed to see. I saw someone wandering aimlessly around the country in an attempt to escape her grief. Sometimes going forward is just managing to keep yourself from going backward, even if you have no idea where you're going. Nomadland is an empathetic portrait of resilience and carrying on. Of course, you may very well disagree with me. The author of the Nomadland book has said that she loves seeing the spectrum of experiences people have after reading it, because that just means that she is not force-feeding a message down everyone's throat. So let me know what you thought of the film in the comments, and please subscribe. Otherwise, that's it. See y'all. The film's